Hi everybody, Axel, freemarketsilver.com. If you haven't been there, isn't it about time you went there? www.freemarketsilver.com is the address to go to. Go on there and look around, buy stuff. And if you have any questions, just call me. Either myself or someone else will answer the phone. And you can do orders, yak about politics, whatever you want to talk about and such. We can certainly accommodate that and stuff within reason. Please note 4-hour conversations, not necessarily just for me and stuff. I don't mind. I'll talk someone's ear off, but any of the guys that answer the phone, any of the staff that's here and everything, I prefer they not be on the phone quite that long, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, a little bit of news. This will be interesting for you. I'm going to do something a little different with what I usually do. I'm just going to read this story here to you, and I'm just going to kind of blaze through it. I don't want to waste a lot of time on this. But a lawsuit claims that Adams County authorities detained a deaf man for 25 days in jail without providing a sign language interpreter before a domestic assault charges were eventually dropped. Let me sum up this story here because it's pretty lengthy. Essentially what happened here is that a deaf man was arrested and detained for 25 days, and then ultimately they drop the charges and kick him out of jail and everything. But basically, it's a violation. I'm not a lawyer. Thankfully, mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be lawyers. Just for the sake of humanity, just as an American and as a human being, I'm asking you to please discourage people from becoming lawyers because they're, allowing what part of lawyers writing laws sounds like a good idea? That's just common sense. This should be basic stuff. I mean, this is total common sense. So why they would think it'd be a good idea for lawyers to write laws? That's like asking home builders to write their own regulations. Of course they're going to come up with all kinds of craziness because they don't want competition. We could go asking a gold dealer or a silver dealer to ask them to write their own laws. Well, what do you think we're going to come up with? We're going to come up with all kinds of craziness. This should be basic common sense, which is of course why the name of our company is Free Market Silver. Free market. We believe in free markets. Everybody here believes in free markets, true free markets, not what you're hearing, in the media where they talk about, the whole Occupy Wall Street nonsense where they're saying end capitalism. Well, first of all, you have to have capitalism to end capitalism. We haven't had capitalism. We've had capitalism for probably close to 100 years, if not more so, depending on what history you want to kind of go down. So whether you want to start at 1871. With the corporate United States, history, or if you want to start in 1913 with the Federal Reserve, wherever you want to start, I could argue, I think effectively, we haven't had real capitalism in this country in quite some time. So, we need to get our definition straight. Why did I read you this story? It's very simple. It's because these are the kinds of stories that are contributing to the overall deterioration. I shouldn't have to belabor the point why you should get your hands on physical silver and gold. And take it home with you. Not MF Global style where you have an account there and so forth. Again, I had an MF Global account. Okay, but again, I didn't have anything in it. I took everything out and just kept my account for the updates. Periodical news and things that I would get from MF Global. And from the broker who my broker was he's really a good guy actually. He probably has left as a result of this. I probably should call him. But my point is that these are the kinds of stories that are contributing to the overall deterioration of society. And if you think it's not going to happen, I really would ask you to turn the TV off, get a cup of tea, and sit quietly and think about some of this stuff. Think about just the volume of problems that are happening in this country. The overwhelming volume. I don't think it should be a hard case to make that there is, some very serious problems, and they're economic in nature. Again, I could go into the Eurozone, I can go into all these other things that they're talking about. I don't think I really even need to. I think we should look at this just as Americans and ask ourselves, what do we think? Do we think that this can continue? Do you really think that this kind of behavior can continue? That's about 5 seconds of silence. This guy was in jail for 25 days. I mean, this isn't possible to continue stuff like this. Maybe the guy, deserved it from a past life or something like that. Who knows? But it's really irrelevant when you think about how poorly the government at all levels is behaving now. And I'm not picking on the individual cops or the DA and so forth, though they do share quite a bit of blame as far as I'm concerned in this particular story. What I'm saying is that how long can this stuff go on? Historically, it can't go on very long, because eventually what's going to happen is they're going to bump up against basic human resistance. And I'm not talking about people going crazy with guns and firing wildly into the air, and hanging lawyers and politicians. I can't think it'd be a bad idea, but hopefully there's better ways to do it, and hopefully it occurs to me that the best way to actually hurt people that have power is to take that power away from them and send them home and say, look, you can do whatever you want, but you can't be in charge of any more so-called authority. You can't be in charge of anything. You're not allowed to do any of this stuff anymore. So hopefully these things will all work out great. I hope everybody's wrong. I hope all the guys that are the so-called, again, not to overuse the quotes, but the doom and gloomers that are out there, hopefully we're all wrong, and everything works out great, and that there's this uprising of the zeitgeist people that make the world better, and everything goes great. But historically, if we just look back into just the Bolshevik Revolution, which isn't that long ago, about 100 years, I'd buy yourself some gold and silver and sit on it. Not only that, I'd also probably get yourself a stockpile of just a little bit of ammo and some guns. By the way, it's interesting. I'll bring this up because I have a lot of customers that do this, where they'll say, they'll talk about how much ammo they have. They have like 50,000 rounds of ammo. How are you going to transport that? Don't get me wrong. I mean, I understand the Ford F-350, and I understand all that stuff there as far as transportation, but realistically, I don't think that things are going to get quite that bad. What I think is going to happen is just going to be an overall deterioration of everything around us. It'll be the slow, steady decay. And along with that slow, steady decay of society will be your money. Whatever you earned, whatever you think you earned, if you think you're owed a specific amount of protection of your spending power, you're right, you are. But the only way to do that is to get out of the Federal Reserve note system. You have to get out of that. If you don't get out of that, look up US 12 subsection 411. It pretty well clears it all up. If you look that up, it says the Federal Reserve notes essentially are private currency. They are not U.S. currency. If you look that up, you can find that out. In fact, if you notice that on dollar coins, for example, it says nowhere on dollar coin does it say Federal Reserve note. It's because it's actual specious money, even though it's made out of garbage, zinc and nickel or whatever the heck it is they're making it out of now. It isn't worth anything, but it isn't debt. And that's the important part. Look some of that stuff up. More later. Go to freemarketsilver.com. We'll talk to you soon.